If you want to build muscle, get lean, recover faster, and perform better in the gym, supplements can absolutely help. But let's be real, these aren't magic. The differences won't be as dramatic as some might think. But when you are serious about your results, every edge counts. Now, the problem here is that the supplement industry is a mess of hype, misinformation, and oftentimes trade-up scams. A lot of what you hear is just marketing, people chasing clicks, pushing products that they don't even use. So today, we're cutting through all of that. I'm breaking down the only supplements that are actually backed by research, explaining exactly what they do, when to take them, and what's a complete waste of your money. So by the end of this video, you'll have a no BS, evidence-based understanding of which supplements actually move the needle for muscle growth, strength, and recovery. And at the end, I'll also walk you through my own personal stack and the products that I trust the most. Now, before we dive into the core supplements, let's get one thing straight. No over-the-counter supplement is necessary to build an elite physique. If your training, nutrition, and recovery aren't locked in, supplements won't save you. Realistically, you can achieve probably 95% of your potential without ever touching a single one. But this video is just here to break down what's actually effective if you do decide to use them. And of course, none of this is medical advice. Always check with a physician before adding anything new to the regimen. Let's start with protein powder, probably the most popular supplement on the planet, and for good reason. But we have to get one thing straight right away. It's not magic. It's not some anabolic dust that's superior to whole food protein sources, and you're not missing out on gains if you don't drink it. Its only purpose, convenience. So if you struggle to hit your protein intake through whole foods, protein powder makes life a lot easier, and that's about it. But if you are relying on multiple shakes a day, you're just taking the lazy way out. Protein powder is high quality, sure, but the overall nutrition composition of whole food sources is probably better long term. It is a supplement, not a meal replacement. So if your diet is mostly shakes, you're probably cutting corners elsewhere too. So what type of protein powder should you get? Well, it depends. Whey protein isolate is probably the gold standard. Fast digesting, high quality, and easiest on the stomach. Whey concentrate is slightly slower digesting, has a bit more fats and carbs, but it's cheaper and it's still effective. Casein protein is your go-to if you want something slower releasing, great before bed for instance, or if you're going a long time without food. Now for my vegan friends, just stop being vegan. Kidding, but if you are, a pea and rice protein blend gives you all the essential aminos you need to get the max benefits from protein supplementation. Now, not all protein powders are created equal. Some cheaper options are spiked with fillers, artificial junk, or they have incomplete amino acid profiles. So if you're going to invest in a protein powder, get one from a reputable, third-party tested brand. And let's talk timing. There's no magic window. Chugging a shake immediately after your workout won't do anything special if you're eating a solid protein-rich meal within 90 minutes pre or post-training. Yet, people will slam a shake within 20 minutes post-workout, but have trash diet, sleep, and training, which is a classic case of putting the cart before the horse. Bottom line, protein powder is just a tool. If you need help hitting your protein intake, it's useful, but you should also know how to hit your protein targets without it. Otherwise, it would just become a crutch. Now, if you're already hitting your numbers through whole food, of course you don't need it, but having it on hand, on tap, is always a good idea for those days where getting in enough protein seems like a bit of a chore. Now, if there's one supplement that actually really delivers, it's creatine monohydrate. This is one of the most researched and proven supplements out there, with studies showing that it helps build muscle, increase strength, improve power output, and even boost brain function. Unlike most supplements, it actually does something. But let's quickly break down how it works, because most people just know that it helps you lift more, but they don't know why. So your muscles run on ATP, your body's energy currency. It gets burned up very fast during high intensity movements, which leads to fatigue very rapidly. Creatine helps recycle ATP, meaning you can train a little bit harder for a little bit longer. More reps, more weight, faster recovery between sets, all of which stack up over time for more strength and muscle growth. Keep in mind, creatine is especially beneficial for explosive, high-intensity sports like lifting, but also maybe sprinting, football, MMA perhaps, anything requiring quick bursts of power and fast recovery. And the benefits don't stop at the gym. Like I said, research shows creatine improves focus, reaction time, and memory, making it useful for people who don't even train. So be sure to get your low IQ friends some creatine next Christmas. Now, how do you actually take it? It's not complicated. No loading phase, no cycling off, just 3 to 5 grams a day, every day. If you're a bigger guy, 200 plus pounds, you're training with extreme volumes, you want to test going up to 10 grams a day, there might be a benefit to that, and that's fine. But 5 grams a day is going to work for the vast majority of people. Now, if you're cutting, bulking, recomping, doesn't matter, just keep taking it. It doesn't impact fat loss, and the water it pulls into your muscles actually makes them look fuller, not bloated or puffy. If creatine ever gave you stomach discomfort, it's probably the low quality stuff, and that's why. So try a micronized version, take it with food or mix it in a juice, problem solved. The timing itself doesn't really matter either. Just take it whenever you're actually going to remember to take it every single day. And let me say this again, do not waste money on overpriced advanced creatine formulas. Creatine HCl, buffered creatine, ethyl ester, it's all marketing fluff for the most part. Creatine monohydrate is the gold standard. It's cheap, it's effective, and unless you have pre-existing kidney or liver issues, or you're one of the rare non-responders, it should be a staple in your regimen. Now let's be real, the most exciting supplement for most lifters is pre-workout. I still remember the day I walked into a supplement store at 17 years old and I locked eyes with a glowing red tub of Eno Explode. The label clearly said 18 plus only, but in true gym bro fashion, the guy behind the counter handed it to me anyways, fully aware he was about to introduce me to a lifelong addiction, all for his $2 commission. Fast forward 13 years, hundreds of tubs of pre-workout, a few near-fatal caffeine overdoses, and here we are. Now, caffeine is the backbone of every pre-workout, and it undeniably works. There's endless research, plus the entirety of human history backing it up. It boosts energy, sharpens focus, enhances endurance, and it reduces fatigue, temporarily of course. So this lets you push harder, get more out of your workouts. Now the research-backed dose is about 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, which will translate to between 150 to 400 milligrams for most people. But here's the thing, you don't need an overpriced pre-workout to get these benefits. A simple black coffee or a caffeine pill will do the exact same thing, most of the time for a fraction of the cost. That said, not all pre-workouts are a scam. Some actually contain performance-enhancing ingredients as well, like L-citrulline for better blood flow, beta-alanine for endurance, taurine for hydration, betaine for power output. But the problem is most pre-workouts underdose those ingredients, or they slap them into a proprietary blend, so you have no idea how much you're actually getting. And that's just a way for them to save costs. If you're gonna buy one, make sure it's fully dosed and transparent. But at the end of the day, remember, caffeine alone is gonna give you about 98% of the performance benefits. Now let me give you some hard-earned wisdom. If you take pre-workout every single session, your tolerance is gonna skyrocket and you'll quickly become dependent on it just to feel normal. That is a lose-lose. If you're barely feeling it anymore, it is now time to take a 1 to 2 week reset. Personally, I never really take pre-workout more than twice a week. In fact, I quit caffeine entirely for a year plus, and there's a full video on it on my channel, and guess what? My long-term energy, stamina, and recovery actually improved. Every now and again, I take maybe 50 milligrams caffeine pre-workout once, twice a week, and that's it. Over time, relying on caffeine can start robbing you of the very energy and recovery you're chasing. And if you train later in the day, be careful as well, because caffeine has a 5 to 6 hour half-life, maybe more, meaning that a 5 p.m. scoop might be wrecking your sleep, which completely negates any performance boost it gave you in the first place. Bottom line, caffeine is king for the performance benefit of a pre-workout. A well-formulated pre-workout can be a useful tool, but don't fall into the trap of needing a $50 tub of stimulants just to have a good session. If you're dialed in, your training should be strong with or without it. So now that we've covered the big three, protein, creatine, caffeine, let's run through some of the remaining supplements worth considering. Think of these more as filling the gaps within your lifestyle nutrition. First up is EAAs, essential amino acids. So if you're already eating enough protein, you don't need them, but if you're training fast and you're struggling to hit that protein intake, sipping on EAAs during a workout, for instance, can prevent excess muscle breakdown. They're especially helpful during a calorie deficit to preserve muscle while cutting. 5 to 10 grams intra-workout, solid approach. Electrolyte powders are underrated. If you're sweating a ton during training, which you probably should be, doing fasted workouts, or just want to maximize overall hydration, which is always a good idea, sodium, potassium, and magnesium are crucial for that, which includes muscle function, contraction, and preventing of cramps. Now, you don't need anything fancy here, just look for one without unnecessary sugar and filters in it. Better yet, if any other products, like the ones I take personally, which I'll walk you through, have added electrolytes in them, that's a bonus. Taking these during training probably makes the most sense, by the way. Next is a good multivitamin. This is insurance in your diet, filling in the micronutrient gaps that you may not be getting from whole foods. Aside from this, you may want to take vitamins separately to that. So things like vitamin D, which is especially important since most people are deficient, and it plays a massive role in immune function, hormone health, and recovery. Standard dose of that is between 2,000 and 5,000 IUs daily, taken with food. Magnesium is crucial for muscle relaxation, sleep quality, and stress management. Most diets actually lack in this, and so supplementing with 200 to 400 milligrams at night can make a real difference. Stick with biglycinate or citrate, by the way. Zinc supports testosterone production, immune health, and recovery. 10 to 30 milligrams daily might be useful to add to the stack. And vitamin C isn't just for immune health, it also supports collagen production, antioxidant defense. 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily can be beneficial here, especially if you're training very intensely. Now, fish oil is another solid addition. Omega-3s help with inflammation, heart health, and joint function. So unless you're eating a ton of fatty fish, taking 1 to 2 grams of EPA/DHA daily is probably a smart move. And lastly is carb powders, dextrose, cyclic dextrin, and things like this. They can be useful for like higher volume or longer training sessions to refuel or keep the glycogen source fueled up. But for most people, getting carbs from whole foods is just as effective. However, paired with EAAs intra-workout can work especially well when cutting or training fasted. And this actually, so lastly, is actually greens powders. So these aren't a replacement for real fruits and vegetables, but they can help further cover micronutrient gaps if you struggle to get enough in your diet. I've been experimenting with them personally lately, and I'm noticing some pretty cool benefits. But honestly, if I weren't sponsored, I'd only consider them once my diet was already maxed out. These supplements aren't essential, again, none are, but they can fill in the gaps where needed. So the key takeaway here is get your diet right first, and then add in what makes sense for you one by one. Real quick, let's cover some of the supplements that aren't worth the hype for 99% of lifters out there. First up is fat burners. Okay, most of these are just glorified caffeine pills with a sprinkle of useless ingredients for the most part. You want to burn fat, calorie deficit, train hard, stay consistent, watch my content. Testosterone boosters, complete waste of money. There's no over-the-counter supplement that's going to significantly increase your testosterone to the point where it actually impacts muscle growth. That's why steroids exist and are regulated. L-carnitine. So the oral versions are pretty useless. And while injectable L-carnitine is far more effective, it's obviously not worth the hassle for most people. If you're dialed in, you're willing to experiment, maybe, but otherwise, don't bother. Ashwagandha. Now, it has some stress-reducing properties, but it's not a magic muscle builder by any means. If you're struggling with high cortisol, sleep, or anxiety, it might be worth trying, but it's nowhere near a physique game changer most people make it out to be. And BCAAs, well, they're pretty pointless if you're getting enough total protein. So if you want to sip on something intra-workout, EAAs are usually a better choice, but even those aren't necessary like I mentioned before. So yeah, you don't have to worry about those too much. And mass gainers are really just a lazy way to get more calories, and most are packed with lower quality ingredients, cheap fillers, and tons of sugar. Instead, blend some oats, protein powder, nut butter, and fruit. There's a higher quality whole food shake that's going to get you the calories you need. And finally, non-stim pre-workouts. Now, if you want to pump, sure, they might do something, but for actual performance benefits that are meaningful long-term, caffeine is going to be doing 98% of that heavy lifting. If you don't want stimulants, focus on proper carb intake before training instead. Now I'm going to briefly walk you through my current supplement stack, okay? And this is all from the company that I'm partnered with, which I would only partner with if I truly believed in their products. And they have stood the test of time, and that is, of course, All Max Supplements, okay? Now you can save yourself 15% if you want to stack up on All Max Supplements. Go into allmaxnutrition.com or .ca using code JMango15 at checkout. Save yourself even more cash on the highest quality supplements on the market currently. My stack includes a couple other protein powders, so I've got a few more tubs over there, but this one I've introduced once a day at the moment, just temporarily as I'm making transitions in my first meal, but I always have at least one sort of protein powder on reserve. This is a classic whey blend. I also have their isolate. Then I have their pre-workout. Again, like I said, I'm taking maybe a quarter scoop of this every once in a while for a little placebo, but their pre-workout, this isn't even their best one. They have the Impact Extreme Igniter. That one is a fully stacked pre-workout, which you can check out. Of course, I got my pharmaceutical grade Creatine Monohydrate. I go 5 to maybe 7 grams daily. I just take the big scoop. Keep in mind, guys, I am sponsored, so I stack up. I have these things stacked all over the house, so I can be a little bit more liberal with it. Now, here's the next thing is BCAAs. You might be thinking, but you said BCAAs. BCAAs I just use to flavor my water because I stack it with A-cuts, which gives me natural caffeine in the morning, and I stack that with the creatine. So creatine is mixed in with these two, and it tastes amazing. And that's really the main reason I do it. 100 milligrams of natural caffeine here, my creatine, so an easy way for me to stick to my creatine, and it's not gonna hurt if you add more aminos in it. Tastes absolutely amazing, so that is why I do it. Like I said, I'm sponsored. This is a luxury type of supplement, so I wouldn't make room in the budget for it unless everything else is prioritized. Now, for my intro, which I take during every single training session, is my Muscle EAA Extreme, which has electrolytes in it. Awesome, awesome product right there. And I do mix it oftentimes with Carb, which is their carb powder, which also has more electrolytes inside. And lastly, I mentioned I was playing around with their greens powder, which I'm noticing some cool benefits on. If you want me to make a separate video or check my other socials where I'll talk more about it, you could do so. But yeah, also taking their greens powder, that is my entire supplement stack at the moment. It might seem extensive, but I don't take these things every single day. I try not to rely on supplements too much, but of course, everything on my end is pretty dialed in. So it's nice to have these on tap and use them as I need, because it's only going to add to my stack. Now, at the moment, I also take a bunch of multivitamins, okay? Vitamin D, magnesium, magnesium, a multi itself. All of these are off-brand at the moment, okay? Because I have to get them individually, although Omax does offer a great multi. That's just some of the things I take, as well as vitamin E, vitamin C, biotin, and that's really it, okay? So that is my current stack, and those are the products that I recommend for good reason. I've been using them myself for a very long period of time. Now, at the end of the day, supplements are just the icing on the cake. They can help optimize performance and recovery, but they'll never replace solid training, nutrition, and consistency. So if you're not already nailing the fundamentals, there's no supplement in the world that's going to save you. So take this knowledge, apply it to your own plan, and don't overcomplicate it. Start small and start adding to your stack over time. Stick to the proven basics and you'll see the real results you're after. Now, for those of you who don't put the cart before the horse and see supplements as additions, not just easy swaps to be as lazy as possible, then I'll see you at the top.